Wow. So that left a lingering thought in my head is this future, would you say better than the past? Worse than the past. Is our future worse than the past? And I want you to think about that as well, because again, we're going to open it up for questions in just a few moments. And finally on this session, we have, is it Auntie Roz? Auntie Roz and the Hip Hop Shop. Can you please come and share some information about your organization? I've heard that a couple young people in the audience refer to your organization as one that helps keep them out of trouble, gives them life skills. And I want you to talk a little bit about your work, but then also talk about sort of where we are on that spectrum of fulfilling Dr. King's dream. Please join us.
Hello again. I just want you to know that my work is on that spectrum of following Dr. King's dream, because I think I have that same dream. I spent 40 years in New York as a performing artist, and I've moved back home to Jacksonville, and my whole life now is centered around our kids and what's happening with them. What's happening with them? I have a small program for smaller children, and then last summer I started a program for teenagers. And to be honest with you, I called it to the Auntie Roz Hip Hop Shop just to get their attention. I had no idea. I was not concerned about hip hop. I've learned it, however, during the summer, but it was to get their attention so I can just cave my way into their hearts and souls and make some life-changing things happen. And I think that's what we can do. We have to find a way, those of us who are hip, that's what I call hip, we have to find a way into the hearts and minds and souls of our children. And that's for all of us in here. And we have to find a way into the hearts and souls of ourselves. So our acronym is HIP, Inner People, Help Other People. So what that means is, first of all, we're hip, we're cool, and we appreciate ourselves because we know who we are. We're learning that. And my program is a developmental character program where we are learning who we are. And we like being hip. And that's how we are learning who we are, because we're hip. And after we learn who we are, we're going to help somebody else. And that was Dr. King's dream. We can help. If I can help somebody, then my living will not be in vain. So I'm going to ask one of the members of the Hip Hop Shop to just give a demonstration. We have some little brochures going around. You can read about us, and if there's time, we can show a DVD, and some of the kids talk about the program. But when they started out, they came, and they can tell you, the ones who are here, I asked them just a simple thing. What is your name? They couldn't even say it. They wouldn't say it. Not because they didn't know it, because they weren't proud to stand up and open their mouths and say who you are. Can y'all identify with that? Hello? What's your name? Roger Green. All right. Roger Green. We all know that. But it wasn't like that, and it's not like that with a lot of our kids. And one of the ones in particular, who I'm going to ask to come up here, you should have seen him on the first day. A very brilliant kid. But he did not speak up because he didn't want his peers to look at him strange, to know that he had that gift. You know, my name is Daniel. I want you to hear Daniel right now do something that he has written and won a contest about. Okay, Daniel, come on up here.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What is education? Education is the future. Who am I? I am the future. Who are we? We are the future. In the words of the immortal John F. Kennedy, let us think of education as the means of developing our greatest abilities, because in each of us there's a private hope and dream, which fulfilled can be translated into benefit for ourselves and greater strength for our nation. So many of us either drop out of or lose interest in school because we do not see the overall benefit of what an education can do. Sitting down, having an intelligent conversation with my peers, being able to use my skills in and out of the workplace, using a variety of resources to find information about a topic, and looking at the same situation from different perspectives. These are just some of the great benefits I have received throughout my education. As a young African American man in this society, I have seen the wholehearted benefits of what an education can do in my life. I watch the news and see how far my race has come from dying for the right to read in the 1800s to Barack Obama running for president. The reason he is so qualified is because of his extreme educational status. It is not by luck, it is by choice. He made a decision to be educated and successful, and now he is. I look at people like him and I rejoice because I know that if I choose to be educated, I can be just as successful and maybe even more. And education is learned in and out of school. Tom Bodette put it well when he said, the difference between school and life, in school, you're taught a lesson and then given a test. In life, you're given a test that teaches you a lesson. Without an education, I am limited in the world around me. No education, in most cases, means limited job opportunities, limited living conditions, and limited thinking. So many of us are either on the streets, fighting, stealing, doing drugs, or going to jail for the foolishness that we have not yet learned to ignore. Too many of us are tossing education to the side. Too many of us do not care about having the best education for us. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a change. And together, we can make that change. Because I know that the only way to become truly successful is to be truly educated. So higher education, how does it benefit me? It not only gives me imperative and valuable information, but it gives me skills and ways to expand my thinking so that I too may become positive in making a positive change in my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. We do a lot of things in the hip-hop shop. One thing we do is connect our participants with professionals in the fields that they want to go in. And they have mentors in that field. My youngest member here, Nakia, wants to be a veterinarian. So she was connected with a veterinarian as her mentor. This one over here, Evan, he wants to be a psychologist. He has one in New York and one in Jacksonville, who he's in contact with. I just want to use what the Lord has given me to help these children right now. And I don't know about hip-hop, but we also hired a hip-hop artist to come in and work with the youngsters, and they create their own rhymes. And they're going to do our little theme song. We have Apex Television Company that's producing us for a television series, and this is 5 members of our cast, and we're going to come right here, and we're going to do our little end with our little hip-hop song. That's our theme song. Let me come.
Right. I am. You get it.
Testing. Okay. Music music is track 3. All right, y'all, I want 100%, huh? All right. Listen, everybody, it's about that time to get on board with the hip-hop program. I'm Auntie Roz, one of a kind. I want to take a little time and capture your mind. I'm here with my posse, and we're here to stay. Make a new day. Right now to hip-hop, hip-hop shop. Do us all a favor and stay out the block. The hip-hop, hip-hop shop. Do us all a favor and stay out the block. We're gonna make a difference and we're gonna make a change. But when it comes to hip-hop, it's not gonna be the same.
It's hard to be about it, it's easy to be without it. It's so hard to stay on point, but it's easy to be without it. Without hip-hop, all of mine is staying cloud. So we feel in our hearts, all we can do is shout it. It's mental, so listen to physical. Gotta open your eyes, then it becomes visual. Yeah, look at your life, yeah, look at mine. Only reason that I'm here, God, shut the grind. Yeah, I'm putting the time for my glory divine. Make some name yourself, stop wasting your time. All materials that drain self with love of the spiritual things. Yeah. Hip-hop, hip-hop shop. Tell them. Do us all a favor and stay out the block. The hip-hop, hip-hop shop. Do us all a favor and stay out the block. Take care of people, helping other people, that's what we're all about. We're gonna make a change without a doubt. Yeah, shining like a star, we gonna go far. You know who we are. Yeah, I got something that'll make us all equal. Soar like an eagle, ride like a eagle. Live in the people, helping other people. Yeah, hip-hop, hip-hop shop. Tell them. Do us all a favor and stay out the block. Hip-hop, hip-hop shop. Do us all a favor and stay out the block.
In everyone's life, there's a moment of reality to stand tall, put by your understanding. But I won't let the forces of society break. Without hip-hop, all of us
go crazy.
So what, girls, please listen me clear. The hip-hop shop in your ear. I'm the new generation of hip-hop. That means hip energy for the mother. But you didn't tell me, oh, trust and believe. So grab a seat with the family. In front of the TV, cause we're on in about 5, 4, 3. This is the hip-hop shop. Shut up! Hip-hop shop. Take it out!
hip-hop shop.
One more time.
Hip-hop shop.
I get out.
Hip-hop shop. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was amazing. Let's give them another round of applause. Wow. Okay, that got my blood moving. That was not expecting that, and that was amazing. But I also want to say, I think when she talked about sort of meeting young people who can't get up and speak their name, and to hear that story about you, and to see you get up here and give such an amazing presentation, let's give him another round of applause. So I can totally see you on the House floor or the Senate floor or debating some piece of legislation, doing some amazing things. So you're going to go real far. So now it's about 4:40. We're going to take a quick break. But before we do that, we've got about 5 minutes before we transition into the next session. I just wanted to see if there were any other comments or questions from the young people in the audience before we take our quick intermission. And please state your name and where you're from.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Angelica Kimberly Gordon Duncan, and I am here from High Point, North Carolina, representing communities and schools, the National Alliance of Faith and Justice, and Love, Ladies of Virtue and Excellence. And I wanted to just kind of comment on a couple of statements that were made, particularly referring to that hip-hop does not affect us. When we understand our history as a people and where we come from the African diaspora, and understand that music is so much a part of us, and something as simple as a beat back in a tribe in Africa, from the country where we, or the continent where we come from, The beat signaled if we were to get up and wake up that morning, if there was a wedding, if there was a funeral, whatever was going on in the community. So music does affect us as a people of color. So the music does affect us. However it affects us, if it's positive, it's going to affect us positively. If it's negative, it'll affect us negatively. And so we really have to not hide behind, oh, it doesn't affect me. It does. It affects all of us. Whatever you put in your ear gate is going to affect your soul and your spirit gate. Whatever you put in here is going to come out. So it does affect us. And we really, I'm 28, so I'm more so from the Cosby generation, Generation X. And so I've seen the transition from when hip-hop came on the scene. And it was really a time where it was more for enlightenment. It was just talking about issues and social justice. And now it's gone into this raunchy mess. And I can't stand it. And there's still some very, very good, there's still some very, very good artists out there. But when you have someone like Beyonce, on one song she's singing Bootylicious, and the next very same song she's singing, oh, how I love Jesus. I mean, how do you love Jesus that much and you're talking about Bootylicious? I have a problem with it. So it does affect us, and it sends the wrong message. It sends the wrong message to these young ladies that I can sit there and shake my groove thing and still get up in church and praise God. And yes, you can, but you've got to divide it. You really have to divide it. And then on the other point, when you all were discussing about fathers, and I would just like to pierce your heart a little bit. Maybe it's not that your father doesn't care, but as you've heard so many people say, slavery broke black males down. And it could just be that your father has been broken down. And it may not necessarily be that he doesn't want to have anything to do with you. He may not even know how to get to you because he's so broken down and our families are so broken down. I currently raise a child that's non-biological from a father who at one point in time was so broken down because his father was so broken down and his father's father was so broken down. And so here we have a generational curse that has existed for so many years. But finally, he said, this can't happen. So he went and got custody of his child. But that takes a while. And so you have to look at the generational curses, and you have to really, it may not be something that he doesn't necessarily want to do. So that's my piece.
Thank you for that. So we're going to take the last two gentlemen that are before the podium, and then we're going to take a quick break.
Hello, my name is Ron Cunningham. I'm from the Empire State, the state of New York, more specifically from Niagara Falls, the king of power, queen of beauty, and honeymoon capital of the world. That's where I come from. I'm also president of the Niagara Falls branch of NAACP, and I've just been appointed truancy prevention officer for the whole city of Niagara Falls. That's going to be a fun job. The thing I like to say is about the hip-hop. I was a promoter in hip-hop. I used to hire Big Daddy Kane, Biz Markie, MC Light, EPMD. Now, I have a godson, two godsons, Stretch and Stefan. They're going to bring Plies to Niagara Falls. Who's down with Plies? Raise your hand if you know about Plies. You're scared to talk about him. He's a terrible man. But he's really a nasty guy. But he makes a lot of money. And he also does a lot of good things. He has his own foundation and all that. All I'm trying to say is, a lot of you hear hip-hop, you can't live vicariously through hip-hop. At the end of the day, man, they go to their mansions, and they look at their profit and loss statements. Right. They don't live the way you think they live. Hello. I dealt with them, I know. They don't live that way. So please, don't believe the hype. Don't believe it. They go home, how you get a Mercedes getting shot up every day? Cussing out the police, you're going to jail. Them boys got security guards. That should tell you right there that they're not foolish as you think they are. So get real and get education and go on and rock the nation. That's the first thing. Second thing, Mr. Walker made some great comments, and I think you need to listen to the older folks. See, you have two kind of people. You have elders and older folks. Older folks always say what you can't do, it ain't your time. Elders say, how can I help you do it? So you got a lot of elders here. Embrace them and give them a mentor. And the last thing, the young man asked a question about the Board of Education. He asked a question about how to get black studies into your curriculum. All you have to do is get your parents or get some concerned people and go to the Board of Education and ask for it. Tell them you need it. Get some petitions. If they don't want to do them, write about it. Talk about them in the paper. They'll let you do it because they want to sell papers. They like controversy. Do you hear that? Just go down to the Board of Education tonight. I know we meet at 6 o'clock on Thursday, 7 o'clock on Thursday nights. Every other Thursday, that's when they meet in my town. They meet in your town too. It's a lot of money in education. Take advantage of it. So if you want the black excellence in your school, all you got to do is go down board education, say you like it in the schools. If they want to do it, write an arc. If they want to do it, then just get a bunch of people go down there. They'll give it to you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
How y'all doing? I'd like to really praise all of you young leaders and visionaries. I'd like to also compliment the hip-hop generation. One of the most empowering attributes that you have is your rhythm and your beat. Understand that your rhythm and your beat is the most powerful force on this planet. You all are moving the world. But one thing that the world is waiting on is for you, young men and women, to start leading in the right direction. I like to say also that, how many of you all use computers? Every one of you all here use computers. And each of you all are empowered to do video and voice conferencing locally, nationally, and worldwide. And here's the challenge that I present to all of you. With your arithmetic abilities, with your beat abilities, apply that to math, apply it to science and technology. Now envision rapping physics, rapping math, rapping literature. My son, as a matter of fact, my tribe is 24, by the way. I got 3 sons, 3 daughters, 18 grandchildren. My middle son, who just came back from Iraq, okay, a few years ago, he just graduated from DeVry University in Kansas City, Missouri. Now check this out. Back in the 70s, when he was young, well, back in the 80s when he was young, I can remember him coming home from school, rapping. It was really amazing how he could rap from A through Z, the various subjects that he was studying, and what have you. So what I'm saying is this, is that, how many in this room are inspiring doctors, lawyers, dentists, mathematicians, athletes? Okay? In athletics, okay, you got to move arithmetically, but there's a science also on how you move. So now think in terms of when you're studying, teach others on how to apply that hip-hop arithmetic capability, because you'll be surprised on how people learn from that capability. Also,
I just want to say we're almost out of time.
Finally, I want to say this. I host video voice conference forums on Power Talk. Okay. I challenge you all to come online to bring your hip-hop positive energy online and broadcast it across the planet, because each one of you are empowered to do that, okay? I close in.
Thank you very much. And I didn't mean to cut you off.
I understand.
But we have one more thing to do before we take a break, and I just wanted to give them an opportunity to do this really quick. So on your chairs, you all had a raffle ticket or some sort of card for a drawing, right? Right? Yes, there's something there. Come on up, Touche. So I was just told that we're about to do a quick raffle drawing. We're going to be giving away some free CDs. Come on up. Anybody else want to turn in their card before you do the drawing? Just pass them on down this way. Anybody else? Anybody in the back? All right, we got a couple coming up here. Okay. And we're going to have Touche pull a couple names and give away a few prizes.
Okay. Let me just do this real quick. Sean Allen. Sorry. Is Sean Allen in here? Okay. Kenneth Ledbetter? Darius Willis? Yeah? Oh, he's up here. Shanae Curtis? Ron Cunningham? He's here? You? Archie Lunch. Archie Lunch. Teresa Hardy Franklin. I think there's a lot of seasons, so I think we'll just have. So let me grab another one because I can't read that. Lindsay Henderson. Lindsay. She's here? Or not? Martin Lee. Oh. All right, let's give a round of applause to everybody who just won a free CD. And let's give a thank you to Touche for being here today and being with you all and for giving away some of her CDs. I'm sure you'll have an opportunity to talk with her later. Will you be around later? Possibly. Okay. All right. So without further ado, we're going to take a quick break. We're a little bit over time. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. Be back at 5:05 if you want to continue with this discussion. We look forward to hearing from you all after the break. So make sure you come back, get some water, take a bathroom break. Be back at 5:05.
You said 10, it's already 5.
Oh, my clock says 4:55. Okay, 5:10. Sorry about that. 5:10.
Okay.
Thank you. We need people asking. So does anybody? I don't know if we'll need this for the.
And look at here, Ashley. And you should have some.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're right here at the end, and we're about to get back started. So thank you all for your patience. Our other schools, a lot of them were on school schedule, so they had to get back, so that's why there's not many left but you. But we are going to get back on track here, and we'll probably be ending up a little bit earlier. We want to thank all of those who've participated so far. Outstanding performances, and certainly Auntie Roz, group gentlemen. What is your name? Who? Daniel. We want to thank Daniel for his presentation and everybody that is really come across this afternoon. So I'm going to turn it back to our moderator, Rebecca, and let her take it from here.
So how's everybody doing after that break? You feeling good? All right. You ready to work? Ready to talk? All right. Yes? No? Maybe so. All right.
Okay, so we're going to continue this discussion. And I'm actually really looking forward to the next part of this because we're going to talk about some of the challenges that are facing young people today. And we've sort of talked about this generational divide. We've talked about hip hop. We've talked about black young males incarcerated. But I also want to sort of take that to another level and sort of have our panelists talk about their experiences. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is this achievement gap and other things, other issues that are affecting young black males and young black girls. So I'd like to introduce our next panel really quickly. I'll start sort of at the end and work our way back down. We have Lady Emmy, who is a nationally known TV personality, and she's renowned for talking about youth issues. And most importantly, she has two organizations, and one of them is a nonprofit called Ladies for the Advancement and Development for Youth, which is Lady. And she's going to talk a little bit about her organization and the work that they do in just a minute. So let's give a warm welcome to Lady Emmy. Next, we have Mr. L. Trenton Marsh. He's a speaker and an author, and he has a book. He's written a book that focuses on the achievement gap. It's called From 1.0 to 4.0, 10 Strategies for Academic and Collegiate Success, okay? Which is a very important topic, and I want to make sure that we spend a great deal in talking about that, but then also hearing from you on that issue as well. So let's give a warm round of applause for Mr. L. Trenton Marsh. And then on the end of our panel, we have Miss Ashley Pace again. You've met her a couple times already, but let's give her another round of applause for sticking it out with us today. All right, so we're going to start down here on the end with Lady Emmy first. Come on up.
Hello, hello. How is everyone? As my sister Rebecca was saying, well, she's not my sister, but she is my sister, you know what I mean. As she was saying, I founded a nonprofit probably 99, so nearly 10 years ago. I am born and raised in Texas, and I've lived in New York City for the last 8 years. And in Texas, before I moved to New York, I've worked with youth and traveled nationally, dealing with youth and youth issues, youth of all cultures, obviously, because I'm African American. My first and foremost influence has been an African American youth such as yourself. And eventually that kind of evolved into the nonprofit organization starting. So that's the nonprofit side of what I do. It's a foundation that's about mentoring and giving back, and it's Ladies for Advancement and Development of Youth because it's women all over the country who are in different facets of business, ministry, and all this different entities, and actually not even just across the country because there are a few women in the UK that use resources, whether it's time, money, influence, calling in favors to do different things to reach back for youth, whether that is someone that we know that is graduating, you know, putting their resume and things out there within our circle of influence to shoot those resumes out there to some people so that they're not sending cold emails if this young person says they want to go work for Coca-Cola. You know, we'll reach out within the network of ladies and say, okay, who knows somebody within Coke that we can get this resume? And that's using all that we can and any kind of influence and resources that we have for the young people so that, you know, we're not reinventing the wheel here. If we already have those contacts and those resources, it's our job as an organization and as adults in general to reach back and then make it easier for you guys. Having said that, that's what I do with my nonprofit. On the TV end of things, I do beauty segments and the fluff stuff, and then I also do on the other side of it when a youth issue, you know, something major goes down and this youth shot that youth, then they want to ask me why. You know, they don't necessarily know me, but in particular, if it's our youth, you know, it could be in Kansas. Oh, well, Lady Emmy, well, why did this young man kill this young man? Now, you don't want to talk to me. When they call me in about the youth stuff, and this is where my heart is with young people, when they call me in about the youth issues, they don't want to call me in to tell them about you. They won't call me in to talk about, you know, we got to move. That won't get any play. You know, if my publicist or anybody else says, you know, Amy wants to come in and talk about what just happened, you know, at CBC, and these young people from Jacksonville and these young people from North Carolina, the producers won't respond to that. But if this young man kills or hurts or injures this young man, or if this, you know, someone else is 8 years old and the first young 8-year-old African-American male to go to prison, oh, they'll want me to come in and address that. It's amazing to me. But whenever I get an email, now the beauty segment things and stuff like that, that's different. That's sponsors, that's cosmetics, that's all that. That's the fluff. But that when I get emails about coming to be on a show, in particular a mainstream, and y'all know what I mean by mainstream, it's not a Christian, it's predominantly them. If I get an email saying they're booking me for an engagement coming up to come to Chicago, and I know it's from them, I know they're not coming to hear what we're trying to talk about today. I know it's something that has happened. So immediately I open the email, okay, now what is it that's going on in the news in Chicago that they want me to come and talk about? And that's it. That's it, period. If I try to transition that into We Gotta Move, you know, because it's usually like on the morning shows, you know, the morning news shows, it's like the local versions of the Today Show and all of that. If I try to transition it in, you know, and say, well, this young man hurt this young man, but you know what, there are some young men that are doing this, and there's this movement, We Gotta Move, and you need to hear this song. Oh, well, that's great, Lady Emmy, so can you give them your website? And they just transition right on out. But if I were to change that story and say, well, you know, I met a young man the other day who was on his way to the penitentiary, and he said, oh, tell us about that. The thing about it is, and this is something that I had to learn. This is something that's why the Addie Richburg of the world, you know, Dr. Walker, Rebecca, Ashley, L. Trenton March, Jeff Johnson. This is why, you know, everyone, Auntie Roz. These people are so important. No one is coming to help us. And it's just like Dr. Walker said that. You know, it's like you hear all the time that we have to help ourselves. And then sometimes you feel like, but we can't help ourselves. But we're going to have to figure it out because nobody else is coming to help us. It's like being, and I'm not equating African-American people to animals, but you know what I mean when I say being in a museum or in the zoo, where they will come through and watch you long enough to see what you're doing that's entertaining. But you know how it is in the zoo. If you take a group of children, I don't know if any of you have taken a group of children to the zoo, but if you take them to the zoo past something where the birds are just kind of sitting there, they won't stand there. They'll just walk right by. But if you take them to the lions and they're roaring and they're kind of fighting and all that, by instinct they will stand there to be entertained. And that is quite often how they deal with your generation. They will talk about youth issues and young people long enough to talk about negative statistics and, like you said, to talk about what you're not going to do, what you have done. In particular, African-American males. Anyone in here, please raise your hand if you've heard a story in national media within the last 6 months about one African-American male that was positive. Just any story, anybody. You haven't heard anything. Any local stories about one African-American male? No, between the ages of 13 and 18. That's it. And that's the reason why they're so in awe of Senator Obama, because like, oh my God, and he's an African-American male. Like, this is just a species where, you know, every African-American male is uneducated, you know, can't ascend to certain levels of success, is not, you know, beating his wife and running off and leaving his kids. So it's like they're just, you know, to them, Senator Obama is like, wow. You know, as opposed to realizing here are 50 Obamas in the making as far as the way they equate it. I'm not saying your paths are going to be the same, but as far as the way they equate it as a good black man, they pick and point them out because it looks a certain way to them. It sounds a certain way to them. You know, so what we're here today about, you know, when we're talking about we got to move, literally, we've heard a lot of people on the panel. We've discussed a lot of issues. We've seen some statistics. We've seen some and heard from some intelligent, well-spoken young people. And I applaud all of you who are here because that is the beginning. But this is only a beginning. All the dialogue, and we can talk about it all day, but we got to be about it. You know, the T-shirts are wonderful. I love them. I absolutely love the T-shirts because that's a reminder. Put that T-shirt on and look in the mirror and say, remind yourself that you do have to move. And nothing is going to move until you move it. What we have to ask ourselves is we have to keep asking ourselves, what is it that you're doing? After everything we've heard today, what is it that you personally are doing to make a difference with what we've shared about? We've applauded some of you, we've applauded some speakers, we've applauded the panelists. But what is it that you personally, and I'm not asking you this, I'm saying for you to ask yourself this, and even to the adults in the room, what is it that you are doing to make a difference and to help someone else? We're talking about the problems, but what is it that you personally are doing? Because the instinct says, when I usually ask that, the first thing, well, I'm in college or I'm in high school. I don't plan on dropping out. I plan on going to law school. I plan on doing this. I don't have any children out of wedlock. I don't. And those are great things. Those are wonderful things, and we honor you for those things that you've done that are positive. But a movement is not just you. And when I say just you, I mean hear this. It's good to make an impact as one person doing something great and positive, but you have to take that and move it forward. And when I say move it forward, I don't mean just progress in your long walk. All of the older people in here know we are the generation that you ascended on your own, but we weren't taught. And that's where the gap happened. That's where the gap we lost between the civil rights movement, and then it was our generation, and then it's you guys. What our generation did, we took the advantages that the civil rights generation gave us to where we could go to college, to where we could sit where we want to sit, to where we can do things that they couldn't do. We took those advantages and used them to our advantage. And by our, I mean our personal advantage. But as creating the movement, my generation, Rebecca's generation, not busting you out, but I'm just saying, we didn't do that. It was just like we sucked all those advantages in. No appreciation for it. That is why our generation, there are 35 million young people. And when I say young, I'm talking 18 to 35 who are not registered to vote yet in this country. And the largest percentage of that are adults. 18 to 35, and that's us. And that is because we don't value voting, because we didn't get, they didn't turn the water hose on us. We didn't have to worry about where we were going to sit. We could go to college where we wanted to go to college. Nobody told us we couldn't go because we were black. As a fact, some of us got some scholarships and stuff because of things that they went through because we were black. So we benefited from their generation, but we did nothing to progress the movement forward. Now here comes your generation, and everything that's going on, they're like, oh, the youth of today, oh, the youth of today, oh, the youth of today. You guys don't know about the civil rights movement as much as you should, because they are not, you guys don't always necessarily look to them to tell it, and some of them aren't telling it. Our generation certainly isn't reinforcing it, and so then here you are. And so the important thing is for us to, at this point, at this juncture, you've got to figure out how you're going to move it forward. Because we have to get away from this mentality of, which my generation was a part of creating it, thinking somebody owed us something because of what the civil rights movement did, and thinking that having this mentality, which is the gimme mentality, what you're going to give me, what's in it for me, me. If I get my scholarship, I'm good. If I can get my house, I'm good. If I can take care of my family and pay my bills, I'm good. Give me what I need to take care of me. Hope the neighborhood and the community and, the little boy who lives next door, oh, his father left. Oh, well, I'm busy. You're too busy to have 20 minutes. You're too busy on campus to have 15 minutes. Everybody has a little bit of time to call somebody or to do something progressively for that other generation. So we have to go from this mentality right here, with one hand expecting somebody to give us something, to having one hand extended forward, reaching forward to destiny and fulfill purpose, and the other hand reaching behind us to pull somebody with us. And whether that is one of your peers or whether that is somebody who is younger than you that is following after you, you have to do it. It is great for all of the adults that you've seen today to have a heart for young people, but it will never, ever, ever, ever change. Don't get it twisted. It won't change. We got to move. It won't move unless you guys move it. And the problem is that when we say that and we think about that, your instinct is to think, well, it's just me, or I'm in school, or I'm in college, or I'm in high school. What can I do? Jeff Johnson's doing this, L. Trenton Marsh is doing this, Rebecca's doing this, Miss Addie Richburg is doing this, Auntie Raj, she's doing that, she's working that. They are working their purpose. You got to work yours. Your generation is your generation. We're in ours. We had either got what we were supposed to get or messed up what we weren't supposed to mess up. But you can't count on us because we haven't always done for our own generation what we were supposed to do. You can't count on us to save you. There's not enough of us to do it, but there is enough of you because you're a seed. God does everything with seed time and harvest. You guys are a seed. It's not that you're supposed to be a tree. It's not that you're supposed to feel like an army of one, because you're not going to be an army of one. It's going to start out a small thing, but if you will let that seed take root in you, it will bring a harvest. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Just one seed. I mean, you see this huge apple tree, and you think, well, that's so huge, and everything that, the CBC is doing and the NAACP is doing, that's so big, and I can't create a movement like that by myself. Yeah, but it started with the seed. Every movement that's ever happened in the world started with young people. Every movement that ever caught fire, because you guys were, and between your generation being in cyberspace and my space and everybody else's space all the time, back in our day, we would have, we were doing good if we had, girl, if you had your own line at home, you were working. I was working, and when I had my cell phone, just having, the kids' line to the, home phone, I was limited, and then the generation past me, we're lucky to have a phone, period, in the household. You guys have cell phones. Some of you have Blackberries. You got MySpace pages. You have a way to put your message out there. And so when you look at it, I know you're probably thinking to yourself, because I get this all the time. I ask this question, then I open up the forum. But, I got all this going on. What am I supposed to do? The question is, are you your brother's keeper? And the answer is yes. You are your brother's keeper. You are the one that's going to make a difference. It's wonderful when adults, I'm not going to say older people because I'm not claiming that, but it's wonderful when adults will speak to you and into you. But what about the young people who don't have, as someone said earlier, that environment at home to speak life into them, to speak positive things into them? What about that young person who lives in that community that does not get that? What about that young person that will never see Jeff Johnson, never see Trenton Marshall? What about that young man? Somebody has to get the message to him, and he may be your neighbor. He may be your friend. He may be your coworker, your classmate. He may be a little kid down the street. He may see you, but he may never see L. Trenton March. He may never even hear of him. He may never ever hear me, Rebecca, or anything. But you have your own. Where would we be today if Dr. King thought to himself, all this is going on, but it's just me. I can't make an impact on my own. What would have happened to us? Where would we be or not be? Would we still have to go down a little further looking for the colored water fountain if we were thirsty when we walked out of here? If Dr. King had that mindset. Well, it's just me. And and Dr. King was short in stature, where I'm just one little man by myself. If he thought that way, the movement would not have started. It always starts with one. And the Bible says, don't despise the day of small beginnings, because you have to realize one thing about your generation. You were born in the generation you were born in because you are a solution to a problem in your generation. Anything that's going on that's missing within your generation, that's why you're here. You have to ask yourself, when trying to seek out and find your purpose, what is it that I was put here to do? It's not as simple as acting, singing, being a lawyer or a doctor. It's bigger than that. If you're called to be a doctor, why? Because the world is full of doctors. So God didn't need to put you here for the world to have a doctor. It's bigger than that. What is your purpose? If it was just about the medicine, if it was just about the law for an attorney, then God wouldn't have needed you. But he needed you right where you are in the season that you are and such a time as this. So you have to ask yourself, okay, this might be what I'm going to school for, this might be what I'm going to college for, but searching yourself deeper than that. What is my purpose? Why am I different? And asking yourself and asking God, where is the problem that I'm put here to fix? Unfortunately, a lot of people in your generation that are in negative environments were raised to think that they were the problem. Hear me when I tell you, and this is the truth. You are not the problem. you are the solution. The next time someone talks to you or you hear them talking about your generation as if the troubled young generation of young African Americans, remind them that you are not the problem, you're the solution. You are the answer. There is some organization, some group of people, some person in this world right now that is waiting on you. You are their answer. You are their solution. You are. Okay. So don't look at your age, what you have, what you don't have. Take inventory and stock of who you are and know that you have something and work that something. Too many people undervalue what they have and overvalue what they don't. Don't be self-conscious. Take this movement forward. Don't be self-conscious, but be God-conscious. And I leave you with this. We as a people and as a community have endured many trials, many struggles, injustices, the African American people. We've been through all that. Moving forward, what the plan is, you are the generation to do it. You are the generation that's moving us forward. You are the answers. We should be sitting here and coming in here as a group of adults to watch you, to listen to you, because this is about you. You're the ones that are going to do it. It's not about us. It's all about you. So I leave you with this. Trials will come to keep you strong. Sorrows will keep you human, and life will make you humble. But it's only God that can keep you going. God bless you.
Thank you very much for that. And I'm hoping that you, Lady Emmy, will stick around for a little bit after the segment to talk to some young people if possible. Okay, so she'll be around for a few minutes afterwards if you want to talk to her more about her work. Next up, we have Mr. L. Trenton Marsh, again, a speaker and author. Please welcome him up to the podium.
I will not be before you long. I actually have an engagement at 6. Oh, that came off wrong, right? At 6. That's in like 10 minutes. But I have some impactful information to share with you. So I was told that I was supposed to challenge you all this afternoon. And I'm going to do just that. And my challenges, in fact, have 2 separate audiences. Okay, the first challenge that I have is about closing the achievement gap, one cliche at a time. Now, it's really directed towards all of the adults in the room. If you've graduated from high school, put your hands up. Oh, excellent. I didn't know y'all. So, real quick, are these high school, college, and just high school and college right now? What are our age groups right here? Mostly high school students? He said, no, I'm not in high school. I'm in college. Okay, not a problem, not a problem. So we have youth in the room. So put your hands up again if you graduated from high school, and keep your hands up. Keep your hands up if you graduated from high school. So everyone that has their hands up, if you don't have your hand up, I want you to look at the person who has their hand up and say, this challenge is for you. So 50% of college-age African-American males do not earn college degrees. 27% of the students that dropped out of high school in the United States between October of 2006 and October of 2007 were Hispanic. The college to imprisonment ratio for African American males is 3-to-1. The ratio is 28-to-1 for Caucasian males. Yes, we all know the statistics. And yes, we hear about these statistics from our local news pundits and educational watchdogs and our superintendents and our teachers and sometimes even our own family members. But this afternoon, I want to know, what are you all doing who put your hands up, who graduated from high school? Because when we talk about closing the achievement gap, we're typically talking about high school graduation. Okay? Unfortunately, right now in the United States, we are in a plight for graduation of minority males, specifically African American males. So what I want to share with you all, the challenges that I want every high school graduate to adhere to. I want to challenge you to adhere to these two popular cliches that I'm going to talk about today. And unfortunately, they're not often associated with closing the achievement gap, but they should be considered. Now, before I begin, let me just preface that at the end of this session, as you walk out of this room and cross the threshold, you're going to experience some sort of a pull or pain, if you will. Now, what type of pull or pain is entirely up to you. It's either going to be this pull or pain I like to call of discipline, because that's exactly what is required to apply these cliches, if you will, to your life immediately. Or when you walk out, again, all those who graduated from high school, when you walk out of this room and you cross that threshold, you're going to experience the pull or the pain of disappointment, because you will continually ask yourself the question that I hear young people and older people ask: what can I do to make a difference? Listen to these cliches, and I guarantee you can make a difference. So the first cliche that is not often associated with closing the achievement gap, but should, is that we should treat our neighbor as we should treat ourselves. Now, this cliche is rooted in the Greek word agape, which means unconditional love. Unfortunately, however, as a society, we have limited this statement and consequently this unconditional love to conditional love based upon something you might learn in elementary school. Right? That's a statement. They say treat your neighbor as you would treat yourself. We learned that in elementary school. Sometimes we limit it to a kind gesture. And sometimes we only limited this unconditional love to our close family members and family friends. However, I believe if we truly had an understanding or the revelation of what it really meant by unconditional love, this achievement gap would have been yesterday's news. Think about it. Again, people who put their hands up who graduated from high school. When was the last time you mentored someone that did not look like you? But I'm not talking about a short season. I'm talking about all the way to graduation. When is the last time you sowed a financial seed towards a scholarship program that prides itself in sending disenfranchised, disadvantaged, and underrepresented minorities to college? When is the last time you stretched the soul of a young person so that they could paint on the canvas of their imagination dreams and goals beyond their block or their building? When is the last time you spoke to a teenage mother to let her know that she too can succeed in life despite her current circumstances? And when is the last time you used yourself as a true example of someone that really walks in integrity? And I believe the personification of integrity is when your words and your actions become one. And the list can continue of what these traits of agape and what these examples of agape could look like. The second cliche that is not often associated with closing the achievement gap, but should, and we know this one: it takes a village to raise up a child. Now here, village signifies unity. Now when we hear the statement, we normally go to a third world country or a crime-ridden community or a fatherless home. Personally, as an African-American male growing up in Shaker Heights, Ohio, a predominantly privileged community in a suburb of Cleveland, I can tell you firsthand that the achievement gap is not a respecter of parent stability. The achievement gap is not a respecter of race. And the achievement gap is not a respecter of gender or even socioeconomic status. I am the son of a man that graduated high school at the age of 16 and later became a physician. I am the son of a woman who graduated college in 3 years just so she could pursue her master's in education and pay for it all by herself. I am the nephew of a superintendent of a rural community in Choctaw County, Alabama. Yes, my man gave a head nod about Alabama. I am the son, or the brother of sisters that graduated high school and went to college on full-time and full-ride scholarships. And in all of this perfect environment, I did not achieve. See, what I had to realize, and it took me some time, but my achievement gap was a direct result of my making poor choices, rooted in my inability to tap into my potential that always existed. Fortunately, though, my potential was finally extracted by a diverse village of what I like to call role models when I got to college. An African-American male peer who was making straight A's, and I'd never seen that in my entire life. A Caucasian student that took time out every day to tutor me on various mathematical concepts. A Southeast Asian counselor that inspired me to lead student organizations when I couldn't even lead myself. A New Yorker who instilled in me the importance of time management. A Jewish professor that taught me work ethic in her accounting class. And a church congregation that taught me Christ-like principles of patience and sowing and reaping. And the list continues. Now, each role model played a very significant part in my maturation and my discovery of my potential. And although they did not know each other, their unified voice became magnified in my ear that I too could achieve. So as you sit here in the Hip Hop to Hip Hope Summit, sponsored by the Congressional Black Caucus, I submit to you there are both voices and echoes in this world. But do not only be a voice. I want you to speak up and speak out, but use words if you have to. Let your character magnify who you are. Let your integrity magnify who you are. So I challenge you today to experience this pool of discipline or this pain of discipline as you walk out and make these cliches a part of your lifestyle. And make the decision to unwaveringly treat your neighbor as yourself and consequently give your time, talent, and treasure to make the difference. Become the village of role models that I had when I was in college, destined to make impact, but not just for the Congressional Black Caucus, but for all of those individuals that will follow your lead. And that's my challenge for all those high school graduates. Now let me transition. Who's in high school or college right now? So you need to cop my book from 1.0 to 4.0. All of my grades averaged a D in high school. I could not touch a B. I couldn't touch an A. When folks were like, well, how did you graduate? How did you even get accepted to college? I got accepted to college on a very conditional basis. Now, I was accepted on a program called the Excel program at American University in Washington, D.C. This program was catered to two types of students. Either you had great grades and poor test scores, or you had poor test scores and great grades. Well, I had neither. What I did have was leadership skills. And I did not know this until they told me about my essay. They said, man, all of these businesses that you were starting, I used to sell purses in high school. I used to scalp tickets. I don't know if we can get that on the record. But I used to sell tickets in high school. When Puff Daddy was big, he had something called the Puff Daddy and Family Presents Tour. I used to sell tickets, baseball tickets, football tickets, basketball tickets. It didn't matter. I was selling it. And I put all of that information in my essay. And that's why I was accepted to the American University. Needless to say, I transitioned as it relates to my academics as soon as I got to college. I tapped into what I like to call the academic strategies for collegiate and academic success. Again, you're talking about all of my grades averaging a D, and then straight A's, straight A's, straight A's, straight A's. Now, I have an empowerment session that I'll talk about, but I'm only going to give you two strategies. I'm only share two strategies today, and then, okay, even one strategy. In fact, I'm not going to give you your strategies. She wants me to wrap this thing up. Let me leave you with this statement, that academic success breeds life success. I've sat on many of corporate panels. Young people, you do not understand how much your grades and grade point averages count. We already know about high school rankings. Everybody knows about that. College, scholarships, we all know about that. But your academics will transition and translate into what kind of job you can get. I know companies right now that if you don't have a 3.3 grade point average, you will not get an interview. Will not. They won't even consider you because you don't have at least a 3.3. I've been on panels because of your grade point averages, your baseline salary, depending upon what you achieved in school, that will determine your baseline salary. So don't get it twisted. Your grades and your grade point averages certainly do matter. Thank you.
And I know that he has an engagement to go to, but I'm hoping that he can stick around for a couple seconds maybe to tell them how they can get their hands on your book, because I've started flipping through it and it's really amazing already. So in the essence of time, we're going to have to cut it short. I know I want to ask you to be able to give some closing remarks, but I know you've heard from her already. We are at 6 o'clock, and I want to make sure that we respect your time and make sure that you can get out of here and enjoy the rest of your evening here in Washington, D.C. So thank you very much for coming to this session. Thank you for those of you who took the courage and the opportunity to come up and share your thoughts. We're going to be around for a few more minutes, so if you'd like to network with each other, if you'd like to get some information from the folks that are here, please do so, and thank you very much for coming out today.